Just getting my other stream up, and then we are going to get going. Okay. All right. Let's get rolling. So, guys, there we go. Everything is in place, and it's time for the podcast yet again. As a reminder, as you tune into this show, we go live every Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday. We're live on all public platforms. And every Friday, it is a Q&A in my free Facebook group. So if you have not joined the Facebook group yet and you are a combat sports athlete looking to take your game to new levels, make sure that you drop a comment on this live stream, whether you're here on Instagram or any of the other platforms, and we will get you into the free Facebook group. We will make sure that you've got access to all the great information that is going to be going live there, including the 4-day workshop that we're in the middle of right now. We are going through all of the different energy systems. We're going through how to train them. We're going through how to better incorporate them into your week. Rolando, I just saw you tune in. I'm going to be getting back to you and getting your program and everything set up as soon as we're done on here. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to work with you. Now, I see a couple of people asking about the Facebook group. Shoot me a DM and say exactly what you just said there, and we will get you the link to the Facebook group. So make sure you send me a message about that. All right. Let's get into the show. So today we're talking about the all-in, all-out mentality, and we're talking about how to better approach your mentality when it comes to sport. And all in all, we're giving you some good information on how you can level yourself up massively coming into your sport. So let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're talking about the all-in, all-out mentality. Now, what do I mean when I say the all-in, all-out mentality? Now, this is something that I've seen quite a number of athletes struggle with. They're either all the way in where they're training every single day, everything's going perfect, and then the second they hit some adversity, the second they hit some sort of snag, they're out. And when they're out, like when I talk about adversity or some sort of snag, this can be specific to the sport. This can be, coming off a loss when they compete. This can be dealing with issues with their gym, or this can be stuff from home. This can be like a breakup. This can be changes with their employment, whatever it might be. But they hit adversity and they're out. They're stepping back from training. They're quitting their strength and conditioning. They're not prepping their meals. Like they step back on all those important things that they've been working on so hard. Now, the first question when I see this happen is, why is this happening? And what I want to bring you guys to is something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, if you took any kind of high school, you probably heard this at some point. I know it was something that we learned a lot about in high school and my psychology courses in university. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because there's a lot of information in there, but Google it because there is some good info in there as well. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs basically states we have certain needs that we need taken care of before we can focus on other things. Now, I know that's not like the exact definition or anything, but basically the gist of it. And the gist of it is, first off, we need food, water, and shelter. And then second off, we need security and we need health. If those things are not taken care of, you don't have food on the table, you don't have water, you don't have running water, you don't have a roof over your head, you don't have personal security, it's very hard to put your energy into pursuing a career as a fighter. So when these kinds of adversities start to strike, like whether it's, a relationship, whether it's losing your job, whether it's, issues at home, whatever it might be, when those things strike, people's natural instinct is to step back from everything else. But the way that we can speed up that process, if you, let's say, lose your job, the way we can speed up that process and get you back on track and get you pushing forward to the goals that you talk about being important to you is understanding that hierarchy of needs. If you lose your job, What need has gone away? Well, first off, personal security, because you don't have that income coming in. And if you don't have the income coming in, that could potentially lead to losing the food, water, and shelter that we spoke about on level 1. And if you lose that food, water, and shelter, a career as a fighter is the last thing on your mind, right? So now, as soon as you become aware of what the issue is, or something a little bit less drastic, if, let's say you break up with your significant other, the immediate instinct might be step back from everything else that you're doing because, you're heartbroken, you've got this going on, that going on. But the second you can become aware of what need that has taken away from you, you can learn what you need to do to fix it and to get back on track. So as an example with that, if you lose the significant other, as an example, you think back to that hierarchy of needs and you say, hey, well, what that's taken away from me is that's taken away my personal security. That person was very important to, make me feel safe, make me feel okay. Now you know that the next thing you need to focus on is figure out how to get that personal security back. Figure out how to get those feelings back so you can continue to put your energy where it needs to be if you're going to advance in your career like you say you want to. The other part of this that I want to talk about, though, guys, is what I talked about in the title, the all-in, all-out mentality. The natural thing for people to want to do when they're hitting an issue is step out. Right? They've been working towards this goal and then they hit a problem, they hit a plateau, whatever it might be. And then their natural instinct is to say, oh, I just got to focus on this now and I can't focus on my sport. And I understand. But what we've talked about on this show a number of times, and I'm going to say again, is guys, your goals don't care. If you're going through a tough time at home, if you're going through a breakup, if you've lost your job, whatever it might be, your goals don't care. The UFC dream that you have doesn't care that you're heartbroken right now. The UFC dream that you have doesn't care that your hours got reduced at work. The UFC dream that you have doesn't care that your home life isn't doing well right now. So it's not about stepping out. It's about figuring out what you can manage. Because that hierarchy of needs is very real. If you don't feel personally secure, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel like day to day you are okay, then focusing your energy on your sport is going to be a difficult thing. But by being aware of which one of those needs you're lacking in, you can be aware of things that you can do to actually start getting that back. And in the meantime, you can figure out a plan of how much training and how much of your sport you can handle while you are in that position of lack, while you are in that position of not having those needs all met. So instead of just stepping out, instead of saying, nope, I can't do this right now, step back. And when you step back, think first, what is the need that I do not have taken care of? What is the need I do not have met? And we'll say again, as an example, personal security. You lost a relationship, things aren't looking good mentally and physically for you right now. What is the need that you don't have met? Personal security. How can you find that personal security? Well, you need to work on yourself mentally. You need to work on potentially finding a new partner. You need to work on a few things in your life that are going to allow you to get that need back. But in the meantime, while training might not be your number one focus, while all of that is going on, start figuring out what you need to keep doing in order to continue to progress while this is all going on. Am I making sense here? So while you are figuring out how to get that need met, how to, again, take care of the person behind the athlete first, figure out what you can manage training-wise, figure out what we like to call the minimal effective dose of training to continue to make progress while you're dealing with those needs. And the reason a lot of athletes don't like doing that, and the reason a lot of athletes feel like they need to either be in or be out, is because you don't feel like you're as serious when you're not training every single day. But guys, what is going to be better? 70% done or 0% done? 70% every single time. Now, of course, yes, even better than 70 is 100, but there are times where we literally cannot give 100%. And when you're in one of those positions, stop trying to hide it. Just admit to yourself, hey, I'm dealing with some other shit right now, some other important shit right now, because personal security, food, water, and shelter, all those things are incredibly important. You don't have those, you need to figure out how to get them. But as you do it, you need to figure out how much progress you can still make towards your sport. You need to figure out what you're still able to do on top of spending the extra time focused on those needs that you might not have met right now. All right. It's a pretty quick one today because, again, very basic topic, but very important topic, and one that I feel like a lot of us overlook. But the big thing I want you guys to all take away from this, and what I hope you are taking away from this, is that yes, I understand you're an athlete, you're trying to push yourself towards goals in the sport, you're trying to rise, you're trying to grind through the tough times, and that is a good mindset to have. But you've got to understand that before you're an athlete, you're a human. You do have a life, you do need to pay bills, you do have a family, you do have people in your life that might be relying on you to take care of them. And only ever focusing in on your sport might not be able to do that. But on the flip side, you owe it to yourself to continue to pursue your passion. You owe it to yourself to continue to pursue your goals. And so instead of having that mentality of, if I'm not all in, then I have to be all out, switch up your mentality and figure out what all in means to you. Because don't get it twisted. People think all in means you live and breathe your sport at all times, no matter what. But all in has to be in all parts of your life. So all in means when you're training, you're all in on your training. You're there, you're present, you're not distracted with a bunch of other things, you're focused on getting better. All in a relationship means that when you are with your significant other, you're spending time with them. You're not scrolling on your phone, you're not talking to your coach about what's going to go on for training the next day. If you have a child, being all in as a parent doesn't mean you're there 24 hours a day. It means that when you are there and when you are with that kid, you are fully with that kid. You're not getting distracted by other things. This is another type of topic entirely, but some parents think that, they're the best parents out there because they're home at 5 o'clock every night and they're there to spend time with their kids. But they spend that time sitting back on the couch, scrolling through their phones while their kids are sitting in the next room. That's not fucking parenting. That's not being a good parent just because you're literally in the building. I know plenty of people that are high-level entrepreneurs that travel the world that aren't at home all the time, but every time, even when they're traveling, they make a point of shutting work down and getting on a FaceTime call and speaking with their kids and being with their kids, even if they're not physically in the room with them. They're present every time they get the chance to be with them, right? That is being all in. But when it comes to the sport, when it comes to your goal, when it comes to the career that you want, stop stepping out of it. Because what you're doing is you're setting a limitation on yourself. You're telling yourself that I can't pursue this right now, when you can. You just need to figure out the amount as to which you're actually able to pursue it properly. And that amount is going to change time after time. When you've got other things going on in your life that are important, that are taking priority, you're not going to be able to train as often. But that doesn't mean you can't train. That doesn't mean you can't progress. That doesn't mean you can't still make time for yourself to put the things that are important to you first. But you need to learn how to balance it. So get away from the all in or all out and start focusing on giving what you can at all times. Guys, I hope that was valuable. I hope you got some good perspective out of that. I hope that shifted your perspective a little bit. If it did, I'd love to know what you took away. If you're here live, drop me a comment and tell me. If you're listening back to this on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, anything else, make sure that you leave a review for the show. Make sure that you let me know what you took away. And as always, my biggest ask of you guys is, if you got some value, share it with a friend, share it with a teammate, share it with a coach, share it with someone who's going to benefit from hearing this message. So all you guys, I appreciate you all. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Guys, and because you are here live, we are going to